Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of Bravo While Black. We're still alive because our last episode, we were leaving you in the hands of Donald Trump. And right now, even though he is denying that, he's not the president any longer, technically, Joe Biden is now the president. So it's a great thing to come back to. And we have our new friend, Ryan Bailey, Kardashian, Jenner, Hadid. How the hell are you?
I'm good. Actually, you know what? Right before I talk to you guys, they finally confirmed Georgia for Biden. Officially confirmed Biden like 30 minutes ago. So there's no way around it. But by the way, good on Trump. I wish I can go through the rest of my life just saying if I fail at something, saying no, I didn't, I won. That is it's such a housewife tactic that it's crazy that we're living in something that's way more dramatic than the shows that we love on Bravo,
Right? That's what happens when you elect a fucking reality star as the president.
Yeah, I got
a reality show.
I used to watch The Apprentice every season, and I was I never thought that the guy who fired Arsenio Hall was going to be president one day.
I was just telling Aaron how I don't like Donald Trump at all, but I wouldn't be opposed to him coming back to The Apprentice.
He can handle that. He can handle that. I'm totally down with letting him have a reality. I just stop acting about what is good for countries and things like that. I love reality shows, but I don't want to live in one,
Exactly. It's just way too bizarre for me. It's listen, if Andy Cohen isn't the president, then no reality star can be the president.
Well, this opens it up to everything. It's at this point, Ramona Singer could be the president. Yeah. We've set a dangerous precedent,
We've set a dangerous precedent for the president. Say that 5 times fast. So not only do we have a new president, no matter how much he wants to deny it, we also have a new franchise to literally rave over. Salt Lake City, obsessed.
Amazing.
Right? It was
really
way
is.
Better.
I watched it. I'm ashamed to say I've watched it 3 times so far, and I'll probably watch it again. And it's so cool to have a franchise that's already firing on all cylinders and that it leaves you wanting more. Is that we're only 1 episode in. We've got however many episodes more to look forward to, and it's just so comforting. And especially if you compare it to something like its lead in OC, which is I really am not. I just don't care about it anymore, and I'm not enjoying it this season. But you have that to look forward to. If you got Potomac on Sunday, you got this on Wednesday, you throw some Below Deck in on Monday, you're looking at a nice life in captivity that we're in right now.
And that's why I'm just as long as they keep producing these reality shows, I'm fine with staying my ass in the house. We have Potomac on Sundays, we have Salt Lake City on Wednesdays, we have Southern Charm on Thursdays.
Well, okay. I'm curious to hear what you guys think of Southern Charm, but yeah, I'm so excited. I think, and what I love about Salt Lake City is that I don't think so, but I'm so happy that I don't think it talks about coronavirus at all. I think it was shot before coronavirus, so it's going to be so nice to have something of where you don't all of a sudden. Yeah, where's the toilet paper? And we need I can't wait to not have to deal with that.
It's oh my God, they're not wearing masks. It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Remember when you were allowed to hug people?
Oh my God, at Jen Shaw's birthday party for Meredith, I was oh my God, everybody's way too close to each other. You guys all need to be wearing masks. This is great. I do get anxious watching shows like that with parties now,
Yeah, it's just so weird. And then it's now it's a year later and that's not allowed at all. I heard that Real Housewives of Atlanta got shut down because of a positive coronavirus test. That's definitely wild. I think it was someone on the production though.
Who do you think? Okay, I was which cast member do you think would have it?
I feel
and
like
also, if it didn't happen at that wedding, I'm curious where it happened.
Exactly. I feel like if at Cynthia's wedding no one got it, then they're literally fine.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite on Salt Lake City so far? Because everyone is saying Jen Shah or Heather Gay. We definitely feel the same.
Yeah.
Because they bring the drama.
Equally.
Who's your favorite?
I mean, I gotta. Well, I mean, just from a. I liked Meredith in a way just because of her gay son was awesome. And I really loved that dynamic. And I can't wait to, I don't know. I got to tell you, they're like, and Mary is just batshit insane. And it's like, I can't, like, I don't know if I want to say favorites, but at the same time, I'm so down to watch all of them. I think the only one that I was like so on, but I know she provides is like Lisa Barlow just didn't appeal to me from a couple different angles, but she's going to obviously provide good content in that the Heather relationship.
I don't know
and she
her
acted
thing.
like she didn't know Heather and called her a good time girl. That's amazing. But Lisa and Meredith look so similar that I'm like, but other than that, I don't, there's nobody that I was like, oh, they're boring,
Yeah, that's the difference, because I feel like every time they introduce a new franchise, you're kind of like unsure if everyone's going to add to the cast. But with these people, they all have, even if they don't have like the best personality, like you said with Meredith, she is definitely the least interesting one to look at for me personally. But then when she brought her son on, it was like, okay, like love it, obsessed.
But did you keep getting her confused for Lisa? Like,
yeah, but until we went, listen.
It's the brown hair.
We have to brag again. We got invited to the virtual.
Yeah, you got to
premiere.
see the virtual premiere, right?
Yeah, exactly. And like they were on, so I'm like, oh, it's Meredith and Lisa. But now we know who's Meredith and like who's Lisa, because Lisa is a little bit more like outgoing than Meredith. Meredith was kind of like chill, not really knowing, what to say, trying not to spill too much tea. But I heard that she's going to have like marriage trouble. So that's always something to look forward to.
I think, the way I feel about her right now is like, I think I'm the one that wants to cause that marriage trouble for her. I think I'm in love with her. I don't know.
Oh, you're cheating on Leah?
Well, I got to tell you guys, it really was. I'm going to talk about this on next week's pod, I think, is that Leah, I think I don't know, like Meredith is making me feel things that I haven't felt since Leah. And Leah's made some questionable choices, I think, in the last couple of weeks for me. So I don't know. This is a love triangle where I don't think anybody knows they're in it except for me.
It's fun.
But
the whole Bravo sphere, like all of us, Bravo fan pages, we know that it's Ryan and Leah and Ryan. And it doesn't matter if Leah is with her trainer or her baby daddy. At the end of the day, it's Leah and Ryan.
You know what's so sad too is that Leah, I've talked to Leah a couple times on DM, and I've always acted like, I'm like, oh, that's just silliness, like that's just a joke. Because I'm like, I'm so not smooth because I just like, I act like it's like a character I play, but I actually really did. As much as you would like somebody on TV, I thought she was like really pretty but I would never, like, I'm not good at like a DM move. Like I'm not good at and also you're never like, Leah's never going to be like, yeah, that podcaster that talks about Bravo. That's not an attractive, like, could you imagine her introducing me to her family? Like, oh, he talks about Bravo podcast. And they're like, aren't you on a Bravo show? And it's like, yeah, that's how he found me. It would be so creepy. There's no way it could work.
There's a possibility.
Listen, anything can happen.
I think enough people have tagged her or tagged
like
me in her
post
and
you kind of.
But also I think she's kind of like who is this guy? Like I think she potentially might be scared, and that's like something that I'm like, because Oh No Bravo, when this first happened, made a meme. We made a meme with like me with her bucket hat on and a shirt that said "I'm ready to be a stepdad," and then people tagged her in that meme, and it's like it's not funny when all of a sudden Chelsea said I was like ready to be a stepdad, and then all of a sudden I'm bringing her daughter into it. That's creepy as hell, and she doesn't even realize Oh No Bravo made that. She thinks I made that. So Leah, Oh, it's like so. And then I was like, I can't explain to Leah, like, hey, that's not, I didn't make that. And like, I'm not ready to be a stepdad, but like, unless you want me to
How
be,
awkward.
you know?
Leah, if you hear this, Ryan, you know, he likes you, but it's not his idea.
It's
We're
not
just trying to get you
anything
guys
like
together. But you have competition now.
Well, I would love if I could just get an interview with her, I would settle for that. If I could just get that's all I need is just an interview with her. And I mean, I even interviewed her boxing trainer, Martin, a couple months ago, because I was like, maybe I can get close to her through her friends.
Yeah.
And, but then I was too chicken with Martin to tell Martin that I liked Leah, because he's always like, hey, how you doing, guy? Hey,
Very
you know, he's
New
all
York,
gruff
like
and
old
stuff.
school, dude.
Yeah, he's like really old school. And then I was like, this is probably not the time for me to bring up that, like, how do I get Leah? Because he's like, he'd probably be like, get the hell out of here, guy. I hate you, you know?
No, I hate you. So Meredith, what the tea is that her husband filed for divorce, but then they redacted the divorce. I was reading that earlier. So she's like, yeah, we're clearly not divorced, but I don't want to give too much away. So that's what we can look towards with Meredith's storyline, I guess, like her marriage crumbling and then putting itself back together, I guess.
Aren't you really interested to see, though, what happens now in between the first season and second season? Because I don't think any of these ladies are ready for, I mean, like Jen Shaw thinks of herself as a star already, but like a lot of these other ladies, like I'm curious about Whitney. Like I'm curious about like all of these relationships that they have. I always wonder, and especially when you get like a spotlight on you, how those relationships suffer, or, you know, because like all of a sudden I would imagine like people like Whitney and people like Lisa and Mary, like people are going to be coming after them in certain ways. And I feel like their husbands, like they say they're all in love and all that, but they seem kind of like average guys, you know?
I think that I heard Meredith
except for Jen Shaw's husband. Jen Shaw's husband seems like a good looking, like successful dude. The other guys kind of seem schlubby, you know?
Yeah, like he's confident. I mean, he's a coach anyway, so you kind of have to be confident. And Jen Shaw, I feel like she's like so in love with her husband that we won't really have to worry about that until like, you know.
Yeah, when they did the duo interview, I was like, oh, they're set.
Yeah.
When
I feel like
a husband agrees.
Yeah,
when a husband agrees to be on there, they're okay, you know?
Yeah, and I heard through a grapevine that like Meredith had this like her own premiere party through Zoom, and her husband was saying that Bravo destroys relationships. So that was
I don't think it helps. I mean, I don't think Bravo's meaning to do it. Also, who is this grapevine you guys are talking to? I need to get to this grapevine.
Well, we're going to tell you.
You guys have the best grapevine.
Podcast.
Jeez.
Listen, everyone tells us everything because we're not a messy like profile. I think that's what people thought we were going to be when we first came on the scene, because our name is Bravo While Black. People were like, oh God, these are the Black people that are going to come and cancel us. And we're like, no, we just want to join you. And then now we're friends with like everybody. And everyone's like, oh, Bravo Black, they're cool. So it's been a great thing because I learned a lot of things about people, a lot of secrets, and I won't be telling them on the podcast at least. Now, if we get a Patreon.
Patreon, that's the way to tease the Patreon. Yeah.
Okay, so the Real Housewives of Potomac filmed their reunion yesterday. And I get all of my tea from this like profile called the Peach Report Daily. And like they tweeted out, it's called the Peach Report Daily. And like usually they have all the Real Housewives of Atlanta tea. But on Twitter, they had some Real Housewives of Potomac tea. And like they have friends that are like producers on the cast, and they're like really good with the cast. Mm-hmm. So I've been following their Twitter to learn about the Potomac reunion, and they've been tweeting some things. I'm going to read it to you guys, and then we're going to make our, reunion predictions. So it says, one of their tweets said, so according to a producer, Giselle and Karen are like the official face of Potomac, which would explain why they have always been given that first seat next to Andy every reunion. Also explains why they were the only ones we saw in early promotions. These looks some have chosen are similar to looks from the Real Housewives of Atlanta season 10 Barcelona-themed reunion a few years back. I guess because it's a Portugal theme, but I'm loving the choices made by Monique, Candace, Karen, and Wendy. So the set was themed like Portugal, the trip that they're on right now. They also added, take that deep breath because Andy's holding everyone accountable today. And that's an understatement. Some quote unquote pressing questions for someone with amnesia. Amnesia, that must be Monique, because Monique said that she blacked out. Oh God. Oh my God. And someone responded that has to be about Candace with the knife, and the Peach Report said no, it's not. So it has to be Monique, because Monique's the only one that's claiming that she had amnesia. Sometimes when you do black out, you don't remember things.
Well, there's a point where like you'll remember. I mean, I've never smashed a person's head into a table, but I would imagine you'd remember the grabbing of the head and the releasing of the head. You might forget a couple of the slams down on the table because you're just in it. But I mean, there's no way. And we know. I mean, we know that she remember. I mean, come on, like it's a bogus thing. And by the way, I think Candace, like she said it. Like there's something has to be said for people that talk like Candace, that come at you all the time.
Normally. Like that's my biggest thing. Everyone agrees. Everyone talks shit on every cast. And I'm not a big believer in talk shit, get hit, but it's a different way that Candace talks to people.
It is.
That is just very like, girl, like, why are you saying that?
Well, and also just out of Candace's own protection, this will happen to you again, not by Monique, but somebody else there out in the world. If this is how you present yourself all the time, you will have to defend yourself again.
Someone
this will keep happening.
Well,
and she goes to a therapist. I can't imagine the therapist seeing this and being like, oh, because I imagine the therapist seeing this and going, oh, okay, I see what we need to work on. Yeah. You're really talking a lot of like you're really, it never excuses anybody laying their hands on somebody, right. But if somebody, I used to have a friend that would like just love to call me like an asshole and a dipshit and all this stuff, and like at a while, like it does, like I remember one time, like 10 years into our friendship where I'd be like, dude, you cannot talk to me like that. And I exploded. I didn't hit him, but like that stuff builds up. So if somebody that's her constant way, and for her to then try to get this pity party for herself and like, I'm not pro Monique, but I'm definitely not pro Candace.
Yeah, that's where we are. Like the only thing that I can say and that we agree on is that Monique should have never put her hands on her, literally at all. I also don't think that, she blacked out because, it's like after they got her off of Candace, she ran around like in Get Out and tried to like get her.
That was by the way, like in the darkness. That was and by the way, I wish you could go out for like Halloween haunted houses back, like because I would have been like I would have done the Potomac haunted house where you just have like a Monique running after you and stuff like that. Like Monique escape producers.
That was definitely, it wasn't a holiday, it wasn't a Halloween themed episode, but it was for me because it reminds me so much of Get Out. Okay, so the Peach Report also added because the reunion was filmed, it was 11 hours, Andy Cohen said. Okay, so they tweeted, "That's a wrap, honey. A very long and eventful day full of truth and revelations that someone was seemingly prepared for. Hold on to your wigs, folks." Okay, this is a clue that we need to decipher.
Wigs is a clue too, right?
MKE would be proud.
King Edmonds? Yeah.
My RHOC viewers will understand. Hint. Sis is a Potomac detective. So I've been asking around or looking around and peeping around, and people said that MKE was the one who got down to the cancer lie.
Brooks, the Brooks stuff,
the OG Brooks that we don't like. The new Brooks is
not the new Savior Brooks from Salt Lake City.
So she was the one who put on her detective hat and got to the bottom of things. So they're saying that someone on the Potomac cast is reminiscent of the MKE incident. I know that Monique said that she had a lot of receipts to bring to the reunion, but then at the same time, a lot of things that when Potomac first started, they both went live, a lot. I was going between Candace's live and Monique's live.
Candace went live maybe a little bit too much.
And then she was revealing things that I don't think that she realized would kind of come back on her. So who do we think is the Potomac detective?
I think it's Monique. She has the time. She has the time and she has something to prove. And she's not dumb and she's looking for, because really where I think this stands right now is that just from a purely business decision, I don't think either of these ladies will get asked back unless they can actually mend fences. There's no reason, like Monique is not on this season at all, except for like scenes with Karen or now it's like she's just not even in the cast at all. So I don't see why you would pull both of these ladies back at all after this season if this is what it's like. It's uncomfortable for us to watch at a certain point. You feel bad for Monique, even though you know Monique is the one who did it, or at least this is how I feel. And I think Monique would also want, and also, did you see that rumor this week about I think it was on Dumois who I talked about the rumor where it was like a certain husband, like, which by the way, if you go by the show, Monique might have planted that to the blogs, the quote unquote blogs that we keep hearing about. So I think Monique is definitely on the defensive and trying to get on the offensive and planting things, going to come with proof, receipts, all that stuff,
This is the thing. I feel like Monique doesn't only have to come hard against Candace. She has to come hard against the Green Eyed Bandits, mainly Giselle. Because Giselle is the one that is, although she doesn't want to talk about her shit, she's always in some shit. Just like on the last episode of Potomac where they're asking like, yo, where's Jamal? Oh, you don't need to see Jamal. He's a pastor. He's busy. And it's just like, girl, just say that he's a pastor.
He's busy making babies with other people. That's what he's busy doing. Like, I don't trust Jamal as far as I can throw him.
She does not want to say that.
Yeah, and I think that Monique is going to bring receipts on, unfortunately, Jamal. Like, that was
hysterical. That was hysterical when she did whip out the phone and call Jamal right there, and Karen was like, "Hello, Jamal. Hello." Like that was pretty funny. I like that.
Who would you think the spy was?
Who?
Like, between would it be Monique or would it be Baby Dean?
I don't know.
I think it's gonna be Baby Dean. I feel like he's been having plenty of camera time.
I feel like realistically, I think it's KB the bodyguard. Shout out to KB.
Oh my God, KB! You guys talked to KB, right?
Yeah, and
is KB's awesome?
KB's down here in freaking Miami, but he didn't let us know in advance. Otherwise, we would have, maybe hung out with him, got something to eat. But either way, I feel like KB has a tea, and Baby Dean definitely has a tea.
Yeah, for sure.
I talked to KB on my pod, I think last week or something, and he was awesome first off, but I finally got him laughing because I said, that baby, just because it looks so much like, Michael, that it's like, I know it's not good to talk bad about the baby, but I don't like that baby because it looks so much like Michael.
Why?
Like, I literally, this is my dream, is that if we slow-mo, like some of the footage with the baby, we see the baby like pinching butts, like a little like butt grab.
Like the baby started the fight between Monique and Candace.
Yeah,
and that's what
in
happened.
The background, you just see the baby's grabbing like producer's butt, and then you just see a baby just like running through a scene, like, oh my God, is that baby running?
Is that fucking Boss Baby?
It's the way he eyes
exactly.
the cameras. It's the way he looks at them when they shoot.
It's like that baby be knowing shit.
I almost, and you guys are meme makers. I was like, oh, this is too far. Probably I almost took the shot of Ashley with the underwear from behind, that the lady supposedly took after he fell asleep in the hotel room, and I was gonna put the baby right next to him.
No,
you made the right decision.
I didn't. But come on, that's funny. That's funny.
It is hilarious. And I always send things to Aaron. I'm like, is this too far? And Aaron's
it's way too far. We're not gonna do it.
I'm the one who is just like, yo, this is gonna be funny as shit. But then I need to tone it down.
I'm so desensitized now. Like, I don't know what is, and it's like, oh, if that makes me laugh, but unfortunately I have like a really dark sense of humor now,
I think that, Monique is going to have things to prove against Giselle and Candace. I think a lot of more people are going to come for Giselle about this whole Jamal Brand thing.
I hope so.
Because even Robin, all she did was agree, was like, yo, why wouldn't you want to share your relationship with us if we're friends? And then when she gets to the room, Giselle's like, you didn't have my back. And I'm like, all Robin did was just say, like, yo, I haven't seen Jamal either. And when we did the cast meet up with Potomac on Zoom. I think it was the little Halloween thing that they did when Robin and Juan was there. They said that,
the Bravo happy hour thing?
The happy hour thing. They said that they haven't double dated with Jamal either. So it's like Jamal has still not been around. It's a year later. So that goes to show for something.
Yeah, that one scene with Jamal on the ride to the airport where he acted like he was like, I was waiting for you to say something, about like one, and I'm like, that's a guy that got caught in a lie or got caught in something and was like, well, I guess my fun's over. I got to act like this is a real relationship now. He's like, he goes, I'm proud of you for finally speaking up,
That's how I feel. I feel like he's like the Black Jax Taylor kind of.
Oh
like
my God, totally.
When Brittany told Jax that she was pregnant, he probably was like freaking out. But then it's like, oh, I can't wait to be a dad.
I legitimately think Jax is excited right now because it gives him he loves attention. He loves being like, he loves people to see that he did something that is potentially could be perceived as good. So it all hits in those categories for Jax. What I want to see, though, is when he realizes it's actual work. Like when he sees that it's actual work, that's the Jax I want to see. Not the Jax now that's getting attention from it,
And then he's so like pompous about it, I feel, even though he doesn't said anything. I don't know if he said anything because I don't follow him. But I haven't been blocked, so that's also good. But I feel like because he has the only boy within the group, like Sheena's having a girl and Lala's having a girl, and Redacted is also having a girl, and he has the only boy, so he just feels like, even though he's not going to be the number one man in the group anymore, it's like they have a storyline secured. They do come back.
That's it. Well, but by the way, I mean, if they were smart, they would stop the show now, and I would either want a 10-year from now update, or a 20-year from now and have it all be the kids, have it be like son of Vanderpump Rules,
Someone said that they think that Randall is producing a show with like the disgrace.
I said that. I think I was one of the first people. I said, watch it, all the baby reveals. I said, so Randall, all of a sudden, all of this stuff started to become really public and I said, I would bet anything that there are cameras there that Randall is paying for like the seed money to put together a, like what you call a sizzle trailer for like what this could be. Because if they get released out of their contracts, or if the show doesn't get picked up, they all of a sudden have rights to their likeness. Now, if the show gets picked up and they can't move and go anywhere else, but if the show ends, they all of a sudden, I would imagine, has all this baby footage, has all the gender reveals, has all of this like drama, and they can literally just call it something else. They will never mention the word Vanderpump. It'll just be like friends that used to work at a bar, and Randall's, Randall would be the one that would have all the connections to put that stuff together. And these guys are thirsty enough to let anything happen. And because you would also get Stassi and Bo in the mix. You would also get Kristen Doty in the mix. You would also get all those people that cannot be on the show anymore. You would get them to be a part of it. So I think it is a very logistical, smart, I wouldn't personally want to see it, but it's a smart move on Randall's part. And I think Lala and them would all get all the others to sign on board,
Yeah, I always say that Lala is definitely Lala Shakur. Actually, she's definitely my problematic fave. I wouldn't watch it because Stassi and Kristen are on it, but I would probably just watch the first episode just to see what it's about because I'm nosy. Also, Randall, for some reason he follows us, so shout out to Randall.
Randall blocked me a while back, I think. I always am shocked, but then I'm like, when I go back, I'm like, oh, this is why.
This makes sense.
I put like that old movie Twins with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito. I put him and the guy from 90 Day Fiancé, and I put them, and then I also put a like a podcast glow up because it was like what his cartoon face looks like on his podcast looks nothing like his actual face. Like I did a couple low blows at Randall, and I don't dislike Randall. He seems like a very positive energy, but also I think Randall goes after what he wants, which is, like somebody like Lala. But I also think like people like that, like the minute Lala wanted to have a baby and is having a baby, I kind of think that also in a way signs up Lala's eventual exit papers. Like Randall will eventually move on to somebody else for sex at least, That's just what guys like that are, I believe. Jax is the same way. I think Randall,
but at least like Randall has like power and like executive producer credit Like, and then Jax is just, his biggest claim to fame is fucking Vanderpump Rules. Like, yo, you need to stop acting like you got Randall money. You don't got PJ
But
money.
Jax thinks that he, well, when I saw, he was like showing off all the baby Nikes he already bought, Jax's baby.
You know how
already,
much they got for free?
but I was like, yeah, spend it all, dude. I want to see you blow through all your money. Please keep like buying. By the way, a lot of people don't know he had like a California lien against, like, he didn't pay his California taxes like a couple years ago and had like a $400,000 tax lien against him.
Are you blocked by Jax too?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah,
most people. I haven't gotten that. We haven't gotten blocked by a celebrity yet, thank God.
In fact, I did have a nightmare. I did have a nightmare last night because I did a blocked by Jax's baby post that a lot of people actually took as real. And, and I put it on Twitter as well, and that kind of blew up. And I had a nightmare last night that Jax did come after me for the baby. He's like, don't you talk about my baby. And I'm like, it's a joke. It's an obvious joke, you idiot. You blocked everybody. That's the joke, is that your baby would too. And I was explaining the joke to him. But I do have because I'm like, my online persona is a little more brash than I'm like a pussy in real life. And I'm usually pretty sensitive. I'm usually pretty sensitive. So I don't, I do feel that one day Jax will want to hurt me, you know?
Who do you think would win in a fight, you or Jax?
Oh, Jax. I mean, if it was a war of words, me. I mean, like, I could hit him like in 30 different ways easily, but
physical, like...
I have a bad knee, and he probably like, if he knows about my knee, he'd take me out right there. I would go for his nose though, because he's had it broken so many times.
Oh my God, he was that.
Say that.
I'd go there first because I know like that would piss him off, and that would like he'd have to pay for that eventually to get it fixed. But I think he would definitely, like, he's spent so much time and energy and on steroids and stuff like that, so I think he would win. And
okay, so speaking of beefs that you have, who do you think would win in a fight, you or John Pringle from Southern Charm?
That one I think I've got the advantage on, maybe. I watched him drunk on this week's episode, and I was like, oh, this guy's a fool. I could get him pretty easily. I think just like, I'm tenacious. Like, you might like, I can withstand a lot, and I don't like, I have good endurance. Like, I might not be impressive at first, but if I hang in there, I'll eventually win it, you know? So I think I could get John Pringle.
Okay, so it's you can beat John Pringle's ass, but you can't beat Jax's ass. So you lie somewhere in the middle. So I feel like your perfect match would probably be against Shep, because I feel like Shep isn't as like wimpy as John Pringle, but he isn't as like bravado as like Jax.
And I think he would get winded quicker in a way, probably, you know, and he'd be like, dude, come on, man. Like, oh God, what are we even doing, man? Like, I think he would try to like bro me out, like try to like, come on, let's just do a shot. Like, I think he would try to end it really quickly, you know? Whereas Jax has blind, what's the correct term? Like, there's like blind rage there. I think there's something in there that like disconnects, and like he could be like a Monique in sheep's clothing. He could just start banging my head against a table, you know? Yeah,
because remember when he was like in that parking lot in his chunky sweater, and he took that chunky sweater off?
Yes, but if we notice, nothing ever happened in that fight. Like, he was counting on somebody holding him back, I think. But you know what? I'm not that kind of guy. Like, in that scene in the Vegas strip mall with Sandoval and all that, like, I've never been that guy of like, I don't know if it's a testosterone problem, but I've never been the guy of like, let's go. Like, I've never been that guy. And I definitely wouldn't whip my shirt off ever. Like, I do everything to keep my shirt on. Like, yeah, well, like I wear 2 shirts at night. Like, I don't want to see myself naked. I would never be taking my shirt off anywhere, you know?
So speaking of Southern Charm, you caught last night's episode. What do we think? Do you think that Catherine genuinely did not know that Thomas got another girl pregnant? Like, she was living with Thomas. She
saw the pregnancy test. She saw the pregnancy test.
And then she also heard rumors that he was at the gynecologist with a pregnant woman. Like, why is she acting like she has no idea what's going on?
Well, there is an argument to be made that Catherine is dumb, and I think that's a good. I think that's a very realistic argument. So I have a feeling, if we've seen this on the show many times, that Catherine is gullible. Catherine believes anything that's told to her. And Thomas, like in that relationship pattern that they have, it seems like a huge amount of gaslighting. And for some reason, Catherine is still under this impression, which is like really darked me out from the first episode onwards this season, is that she still thinks Thomas is a prize, that she still thinks of like, and that's how like deranged, that's how psychological he's gotten into her mind. And that's how guys like that do that. And I think it's a real, it's really scary because I'm sitting there going like, how
completely manipulated her, because even when she's talking in the confessionals, she's very honest about it. She's like, you know what, this is what it would be like if we were a family. And
she's
I'm like,
dreaming about it. She's dreaming about it.
Literally took your ass through court, tried to literally take your kids away, told everyone that you went to rehab and got an abortion, but you think that you guys can be a family? Like, it's insane.
I mean, the final nail in the coffin should have been for her is when he came down in those white tight jeans with in the first episode, and I was like, oh my god, like how would you think that's a prize still? Like, also, like he's being like, you know, I mean, charges are brought up against him for, you know, potential rape, potential like we've seen this on the show. It's documented. If she forgets, it's right there to watch, and she's still like, I know you have 2 kids, but there is a point where you're like, for my kids and for myself, I'm going to remove myself from this situation. I cannot trust. There are certain people, we all have this, where we can't trust how we feel or think because we're just so locked into them. Like I have people like that in my life that I'm like, I can't be around this person because I like them too much and I know it's not good for me. Like I know, and I think that's like, Catherine has to be smart, especially because she has those kids, is that it's not healthy. Like you gotta like, how do we all know it? And I know it's like you're the last person to know, but like, girl, I hope you know now.
And then if she doesn't,
never in doubt.
If she doesn't know by now, because also there's a point to be made that like her mom had just like passed away, which was extremely sad. So it's like, you know, Thomas kind of took you in, you guys are playing house together and, you know, you get caught up in that, but then you find out that he got this girl pregnant. But then now, fast forward to a few months later, he's marrying this chick. And not only is he marrying this chick, he wants to take the kids away from Catherine, again, move like, I think like an hour or an hour and a half outside of Charleston, and they're back in court again. So hopefully she knows that like, yo, this ain't that. And you guys are never going to be a big happy family. And it's like not cool.
Well, they're not going to be a big happy family at the end of the day because he is who he is. Like it's not for lack of like, it's nothing else, but it's not her fault. It's who he is who he is. And therefore he will never be able to have a happy family with anyone. Exactly. There's not going to be anybody in Thomas's life that's able to have a family with him in the way.
That's why I'm like, why is he even getting married? Like, what's even like the point? Because you're literally like 60
I think that's
years
old school. I think it's Charleston BS. I think he still thinks he's a prize. I think Whitney still thinks he's good looking. Like, I think all these people, like, you know, like you got to be realistic about where you're at. Like watching John Pringle flirt with those girls at the table last night. It was creepy.
That was like so weird. Like, and you guys
like Justin Bieber? You guys like Justin Bieber? You know, he's like, I got no game. But he was like, I got no game, but that's his game. Telling people he has no game. Yeah. So like,
he's leaning further into it.
He thought he was being smooth, and like watching his old John Pringle ugly face against like young people's faces was even creepier. You know, like that's like to ask anybody if they like Justin Bieber is creepy already, but for him to ask it was so weird.
And he kept saying it though. He's like, "Who's your favorite band?" And they're like, "Band." Like One Direction would be my answer, but then he's like Justin Bieber. I'm just like, stop.
Haven't you heard of the Justin Bieber band?
No, I actually haven't. So in case our listeners don't follow you, what is your deal about John Pringle? Like you refuse to accept that some people find him attractive. Why do you feel this way?
I think it upsets me is because I think I'm a similar type as John Pringle. I have like a little patch in my beard right here I can't grow in, and I have to grow the hair out to like cover it. So he has like a patchy beard. I think what upset me is that I've never walked in a room and had a bunch of girls like, who's that? Who's that man? Da, da, da. And all of a sudden this motherfucker walks in and everybody's like, oh my God, I've never seen anything like this. Who is he? Oh my, who is he? And that's what upsets me, because I'm like, this is like, I'm either moving to Charleston next week because obviously I'll clean up there, or somebody's lying, because there is no way this fool he's fine. He's a handsome man. I'm an all right looking guy. Like, I'm not great. I'm not ugly. I'm right there in between. And this guy's saying he's like the best looking thing that happened to Charleston in a long time. Like, are you kidding me? And like, everybody's gone on. I had so many great people or great suggestions on what he looks like. And I think, I forgot who did the meme that compared him already to Tyrion from Game of Thrones, Peter Dinklage, the little tiny person actor, and Bam Margera from Jackass, which is like a perfect marriage of that. But then other people like threw in some good ones. Like, he looks like the brawny man, the paper towel guy.
He's rough like that. He's kind of hot. And then when you talk to him,
you just said he's kind of hot. What's wrong with you?
Listen, in the words of Sweetie, like, that's my type.
It's revealed.
Listen, anyways, it's because number one,
so this must be like you're talking to a supermodel right now. That's your type. That I'm sorry. Like, I'm probably a hair uglier than John Pringle, but I'm in that same ballpark. He's just like, I'm sorry. He is just not. I'm not going to accept that he's.
You're not going to hear my argument. Like, you're not going to.
I'm going to hear it, but you've got my blood pressure up now. So
it's because number one, in Southern Charm, the original one, we've had different girls. Like, we've had Ashley, we've had what's that horse girl? Landon. We've had Ashley. We've had multiple women, but we never get any new men. The last new man that we got was Austin. And the only thing that I think about Austin is that he's like a mini freaking Shep that literally got caught in a threesome and like lied about it to Madison's face.
Madison, what are you doing, Madison? You're acting like an idiot right now.
They play that clip. Madison. I'm so surprised they didn't play that clip like on the last episode somehow. So it's like, I couldn't even have a crush on Austin because of his behavior with that. So it's like, we have fresh meat. And obviously, when we're dealing with Southern Charm, usually, except Craig, we're dealing with people who have like old money. So it's like, he's not ugly, he has money, and he's fresh meat. So that's my argument. And maybe
see, that pisses me off too. That pisses me off too, because I don't have money, and that's where I'm like, if I had money, I'd out Pringle, you know, like I need to get that podcasting money, that sweet podcasting
You're on
money.
The way. You're on the way. Like,
I'm going to attack Pringle one day.
No, wait, don't attack Pringle, and because it's gonna be planned. Just like you settled your beef with John, you settled your beef with John Pringle right here on the Bravo While Black podcast.
Oh my God! You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna create this for women like you. I'm gonna do a Pringle of the month calendar,
right?
And I'm gonna put John Pringle on a bunch of like different men's bodies, you know, like those, they do with those fireman calendars. And maybe I could sell that to all the John Pringle fans out there.
I would buy it, but you'll definitely get a like, because also I don't know where John Pringle stands politically, because the only reason that Craig's not hot anymore is because he went live with Tammy Lauren in the middle of like a fucking civil war, and him and Austin are proud about that. So that made them extra like ugh to me. So once I figure out where John Pringle stands politically, because right now Shep's looking pretty good, and Shep is an independent usually, but now he voted Democrat, and I'm like, ew, Shep is hot. Like, what's going on? So if I find out that John Pringle is a Democrat, it's over.
I like that. That's all it. I like that that's what it takes in terms of like turning things around for people. If you fall on the right side politically, you're like, that is hot. Like, I like that. That is hot. Yeah.
Even if I find out that he's independent, unlike fucking Leo, who literally fucking posted that she's proud to be independent.
That was a tough pill to swallow for me, and I see I think I understand what she's trying to say, but I just like, girl, it's not the election for that. And maybe, you know, like
that people's lives are at stake. It's like, this is our thing. We don't mind if you're Republican. We don't mind if you're independent. We don't mind if you're Democrat or if you don't vote. But when it comes to this election specifically, we just have to get out Trump. Like, that's it.
Well, I think that I've had a lot of interesting conversations about this in the last year, I think, since I started this, about Trump and things. And it's always interesting because it always seems like, or at least, is that a lot of people just don't have access to information, and they're voting for a presence. I've heard things like, well, he made me feel safe, and and I'm like, wow, he makes me feel the exact opposite. And if you look into it, this is why. And I would love if I would talk to somebody that actually shored this up with facts or even just flat out said, hey, I make a lot of money. I do not want to pay these taxes.
That's what I respect more, though.
Like I would still be shaken because I'm like, well, he stands against a lot of the things that I support, but at least it would be a reason. But that mixed in with he encourages conspiracy theories, QAnon, things like that. I just think there's no room for that. And especially we're in such a delicate point in our America's history where there is so much information hitting you and that you have people that don't understand the difference between real and fake. And I think that's the scary part. So for me, it was a very clear, simple answer. And I was like, the last 4 years of my life have been some of the worst four years that I've ever had in my life. So just from every angle, for me, it was a real easy decision. And it was never about, there are things I don't like about Joe Biden. Yeah. But I know one of them wasn't that he eats babies. And that was like a rumor, I'm like, can we at least stick to actual policies? Can we stick to, I can guarantee you. And by the way, his son's messed up. Yeah. He's like an addict. I have addicts in my family too. It's a messed up thing.
But that kind of makes him more real, but it's who we're comparing him to. It's like, yo, do you want the dude that's kind of not perfect, or do you want the guy that we had the last 4 years, that's not even he won by a lot, he says. This is who you voted for? The guy that says he won by a lot?
Well, he argues math. How do you argue math? How do you argue math? How do you argue science? And that's what I'm saying. When you're calling math and science into question, math is about absolutes. Math is about, the fact that you're questioning math now is that's a really scary place. You can question God, I guess, or whatever, but when you question math, it's an absolute thing. There's right and there's wrong. There's no gray area. And I'm not good at math, but that's what I like about math is that it's absolute. You can't argue with it, yet he does. And I think that's a really scary, is that there's no truth anymore. Truth is in the eye of the beholder. And that's what scares me. And we got to move on. But I'll tell you, also Biden is that I'm really excited not to have any of his family members on any of his boards, any of his, I do not need, I don't need any, his family members are on COVID boards. What? Why
it's
are they participating?
Watching, I don't know if you watch Succession.
Oh yeah. I love Succession. Yeah.
Oh my God,
yeah. It's there.
Love that show. It's just like that. But in real life.
But that family isn't as, yeah, I think it's, they're more, I guess.
Insane. But you know what?
They're smarter than the Trumps they shore up that base and they rile them up, but there's not a lot of there's not a lot of poetry behind it. There's not a lot of Donald Trump Jr. will never say something that I'm like, wow, he said that beautifully. It's always like a blunt force object, being smashed against your head,
I feel like these next 4 years, we should get our shit together to where we can go back to having a decent Republican candidate and having a decent Democrat candidate. We should stop doing the let's vote the least of two evils thing. And we have 4 years to get our shit together. And then I'll be fine where everyone lies politically as long as they're not a fucking Trump supporter.
And no more celebrities.
Yeah, no more celebrities.
No more celebrities.
I know that a lot of people want The Rock. I wouldn't be opposed to having The Rock.
No.
I wouldn't be opposed to having The Rock.
What is he going to do? Sell us boss water all day?
He makes me feel safe.
I'm scared that we are in a point where celebrity's always going to win now over anything else. Is that we don't need to get into a habit of celebrity and the person that can push their message out like we have with social media and stuff. Exactly. Do I need Kris Jenner running for office? No, I don't need it. I don't need it at all. In fact, I don't want it at all. I want people that respect and are honest about the history of this country and that actually have, there are decorum. I want to be bored by politics. Right. I want to not be, I don't want, we had even our Secretary of State the other day, talking shit about the Iranian minister, getting into a Twitter battle. And it's like, I'm not for the Iranian, like I'm not for the Iranian.
But also keep it behind the scenes. Like, don't go on Twitter and shit on people.
A fucking Twitter battle? Like, I think there should be a rule that no politician, once they get office, should be able to have a Twitter account. Like, it's very scary.
It has to go back to being Twitter. Yeah, it needs to go back, and then at least it needs to progress while going back at the same time. I don't know how to explain it, but you know what I mean. I don't even know how we got to this conversation, but let's go back to Southern Charm. I just want to talk about Leva real quick. So Leva, yes. I really love seeing someone who is of color on the cast. As you know, she's going to be the person to tell Catherine, what the fuck are you doing once she commits her racist crime that they're going to drag her for, but we'll save it until it happens. But on this episode, we saw Leva put her Persian culture, at the forefront. She had a Persian dinner for all of her friends, although she encouraged them to wear, like all the Persian traditional jewelry and dressing and all of that. She was just like, don't fucking show up like Aladdin. I love that part. That was hilarious to me. And it just hearing her story about how her parents had to leave the Middle East to come to America, and her culture shock coming to the South, it was very similar to some of the stories on Shahs of Sunset. So that was a cool connection. And I also like what she said. She was like, because if you guys haven't been watching Southern Charm, Leva is Persian, her husband's Black, and their child is obviously mixed. She's like, I'm brown, he's Black, and let's talk about it. And she basically said, let's celebrate our differences instead of pretending that we're not different. And I think that that's important to say, because a lot of people, especially white people, especially these kind of white people, are like, oh, we all bleed red. It doesn't matter at the end of the day. It's like, no, I'm different and you can like learn from me. It was like a really good moment that it kind of like made me feel like, okay, this is what we need to move towards, not just on Bravo, but in real life in general. So that dinner was cool. Seeing all that was cool. And I am loving Leva because she stood up to Cameron. She's going to drag Catherine, and she's showing her Persian culture and talking about her interracial relationship and the problems that the Deep South still has to this day.
So Team Leva.
Yeah, Team Leva. You got anything?
I love that this season of Southern Charm, we are going to acknowledge a lot of this, that we are going to get to the Confederate statues, that we are going to get to Catherine doing the monkey emoji. I think these are really important things. And it was one of the reasons why I am on board with Southern Charm, and I am recapping it on part 2 of my AA shows each week, because I'm in for that journey. Like, I'm down, like, and if I get to make fun of ugly John Pringle in the process, that's great, but if I get to see them learning, but I think that's an important thing. If we get to acknowledge this, I think education is huge. And if you mix it in with like these people being batshit and like, great, but like, it's all about knowledge. It's all about, I'm here for that. And I think it was the only way Southern Charm could have gone. Right. And that's why I think it's going to be really hard for Vanderpump Rules to come back, because how do you explain where half the cast went over the summer? How do you explain the Black Lives Matter movement and how Stassi and Kristen fell into this? How do you explain all of this stuff? And, I think that's, I think it'll be interesting to see how Southern Charm walks that line. And so far, I'm kind of digging it.
Yeah, and it's only like the third episode, but
yeah.
Already, they're getting to it. And we just want to tell you guys who have been watching Southern Charm New Orleans with us that we will not be, posting about it every week as we have been. We were only doing that because we're not watching OC this season, but now that we have Salt Lake City, we'll be giving we'll be giving our attention to Salt Lake City, but we want you guys to finish Southern Charm New Orleans and then inbox us, comment on our post, anything. Just tell us your opinions on Southern Charm New Orleans, because it's a really good show. And it's like what we want from the original Southern Charm, but they already have everything. They have white, Black, LGBTQ, they have the important conversations. And this was all filmed before the Black Lives Matter reawakening movement. So yeah, Southern Charm. So
and
now
to be honest, I've never watched it. I have to be honest. I never got into the Southern Charm, and I saw you guys posting a couple accounts posting on it, and it is now like, oh, I got to watch it because everybody says it's amazing. But it was like it was something that wasn't on my radar at all. And you know how those shows are, though. It's like now I'm watching everything because I'm doing this. But before that, like I wasn't watching Dallas. I wasn't watching, you know, like it's, and I don't know if you guys are like me where it's like so hard to let, I know this sounds silly, but like you got to let new people into your hearts and mind when you watch these things. Yeah. Like sometimes you're full up and like, you know, that's why Salt Lake City was like a treat because it was like really enjoyable. But sometimes it's like it's like hard. It's like work.
I don't
you know,
you're get like to know any more people.
Yeah, it's like I still feel a way about Nene.
You're like I'm full.
Back. It's like I still feel a way about Nene not coming back to Atlanta. And I'm like, freaking LaToya, I know her from YouTube. Like, I don't want to see LaToya from YouTube on fucking Real Housewives of Atlanta. And I don't want to see Drew Sidor from That's So Raven on Real Housewives of Atlanta. I want Nene.
Okay, but to clear it up, because I want to clear it up. Drew Sidor definitely gave me everything in that trailer. So I just want to say that.
Yeah. She was like, I'm from Chicago, bitch. So like, don't try me. So I'm like, all right.
I didn't expect that at first because I was used to actor Drew Sidor, but now I got reality TV star Drew Sidor. So it's a little bit different.
I'm just saying how I felt before that trailer. Now we have the trailer like, I was going to watch regardless. Like, I'm the bitch that I'm not going to stop watching something unless it's extremely offensive. Like with Real Housewives of Orange County, I'm like, this is extremely offensive. Goodbye. But with Atlanta, I'm like, oh no, Nene, I was still gonna watch, but now I'm excited to watch because of that trailer. So I want to just put that out there.
Yeah, and that kind of when does that come back?
It comes back December 6th, Real Housewives of Atlanta.
Wow.
Yes. So we're gonna get to the conversation where we are keeping up with Ryan Bailey because your Twitter name is Ryan Kardashian, isn't it?
Well, it's Ryan Bailey 25, but the header is Ryan Kardashian Jenner.
Yeah. Why did you choose that?
Just because I think I think they're ridiculous. They're a ridiculous family, and I just think it's funny. Like Kardashian Jenner is, I don't know, it's so stupid. Like, I mean, like during Halloween a couple years ago, I called myself Ryan Booley. So it's like, there's no rhyme or reason except that it's just stupid, and it's like something that like sticks in my head of like being one of the Kardashian Jenners. And I just genuinely dislike some of the Kardashian Jenners, so it just makes me laugh all the time. Okay, I'm weird. I don't know. There's no real explanation.
There was no real explanation. Like, it's unlike, because, you know, there is this guy. I don't know if you heard about that one app. It was Quibi that was like 5-minute
Kirby
bites.
Kirby
Kardashian. Yes. He had a whole show on it. And I was like, this is Kirby's big break. And they're like, we don't have the money for this shit. And I'm like, how did you think? You thought that Quibi was going to work in the first place? Anyways, Kirby made his entire brand around like.
Called you out.
Oh my God.
Well, they're fucking.
It didn't happen so quick. Yeah. I'm just like, didn't I know? Wasn't he just like? Didn't he just have a commercial about?
Well, guess what? There's no more Quibi, so it wouldn't have worked in the fucking first place.
That's gonna suck, though. That's gonna suck to think you have your break.
Yeah,
your big break, and like, I mean that really does. Like that's
commercial.
It's like, Mama, I made it. And
Life
then
is
like
so
the
crazy.
Entire app is down. But you know what? It was too many stars. Mm-hmm. Like literally Kevin Hart doesn't need another show on another fucking app.
I don't want to see him on anything else.
Okay, so anyways. Let's get back to Ryan. So how did your podcast come about? Like when did you start doing this shit? How'd you get so big at it? Because you're like everywhere in like the Bravo sphere, but you don't just talk about Bravo. You talk about hot takes on pop culture in general. So when did you start your podcast? What made you start it? And like, how's it going?
I started, I think a year ago last week, actually. So it's like, this is crazy.
It's anniversary.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't really make anything of that because I usually make, but anyways, yeah, it came about. I used to do a Kardashian podcast called Realizing Stuff for a couple years, and I really genuinely enjoyed the podcasting format. I had been a guest on a couple other podcasts before that, but it really it was kind of cool. It was a recap show of the Kardashians. I really enjoyed it, and I enjoyed all the people you met because of it. Like, you know, you guys know you have probably really good conversations with people, and it was like and I was going through a divorce, and I, as a straight dude that like watched reality shows all my life, I didn't know, I know this sounds silly and old of me, but I didn't know there was all these people out there that liked the same things I like. Like I didn't know about Facebook groups. I didn't know about, and all of a sudden when I was going through all that stuff, I met all of these people that talked about the same shit I did, that like talked about Aviva's leg and all this crazy stuff. And like, and I was like, oh my God, these guys have been here the whole time. And then the Kardashian podcast started from there. And I wasn't even a big fan of the Kardashians at all, but that was kind of a fun take on it. And then that ended. And then I didn't know if I didn't really think I was going to do anything, but I was like happy to guest on people's podcasts. And then my therapist at the time was kind of like, hey, this sounds like something that might be healthy for you, that you would enjoy. And so I didn't think I could ever do a solo podcast. I didn't think it was in me. And I didn't think I could talk by myself, which I have a lot of guests, but it turns out I could, and they're way too long. They're like these, what I call long form podcasts, because I grew up on radio shows or like talk radio. I grew up on like 4-hour talk radio programs. So it's like that. Like, that's why there's timestamps. There's like a couple different guests per episode. I'll go into different pop culture moments, whether it's like making fun of Justin Bieber or something I found from Garth Brooks. And it's like a comedy show that sometimes gets into deeper things. I think if anything, you'll hear me learning as I go along. Like I did, like I learned, so like during the Black Lives Matter, the explosion in LA, like I learned so much that I had no idea about. And I'm not even ashamed to say that. I mean, I was ignorant to the fact. And through the Instagram audience and my friends on there and the podcast, I've been able to kind of expand my horizons, or even my privileged, limited point of view. And it's been so like to that, even if the podcast never is, like, I already feel kind of like, wow, like this is such a cool second act for me, where I didn't ever think, and I sound ignorant right now when I'm talking about it, but it really does. It really opened my eyes to a lot of it. So that's why it started. I eventually will have to make them shorter, because it's just so much time. Like it takes so much time to interview, to edit it all together, to do the Patreon on top of it. But I even lost my job a couple months ago because of COVID after like 13 years at one place. So it's all I really do right now. And, but it's been one of the most interesting years of my life. And I really attribute that a lot to the podcast and to the Instagram and stuff. It really drives me. I'm sure you guys feel a little similar,
We just started ours literally like in I feel like June. Yeah, it was June that we started ours, and we did our first one. And it was just, we didn't even know about guests. Like, we were like, what? People
our first
have
guest
guests?
Was like weird as shit.
Yeah, it was awkward as fuck. And then more people started following us, and I'm like, oh my God, they're gonna want more of these. And then someone would be like, yo, when's your next part? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, what are you talking about?
I remember the first time we heard that, he told me, and I'm like, they want to listen to what we have to say.
They want to keep going? Are you kidding me? I will say, like, I surpassed everything. I surpassed what I had hoped to do in a year within like a month. And like, that was insane to me. And then it's still insane to me when it grows and stuff. Like, I'm like, it feels like the emperor has no clothes at some point. And it's so weird, because I'm like, well, anybody can have a podcast, you guys. I'm like, anybody that listens to me, I'm like, you'll have your own podcast one day. Yeah. It's hard, but it's not impossible. And it's like, I feel like it's just exciting. Like, I know exactly who I'm talking to when I do the podcast. I know exactly who I hope who I hope is listening. And it's just a conversation where, unfortunately, I'm the one doing most of the talking, but it's like that. It's like, that's the thing. You want to have that conversation with that group of friends that you love. And like, that's what I picture when I do any of this stuff. And like, when I get to talk to you guys or any guest, you're like, dude, this is a new opportunity for me to actually talk to somebody new, to make a new friend, to, make an ally, and it's like, I would never be able to do this in my normal life. If Ryan Bailey said, hey, also Ryan Bailey would never call. Like, I don't like talking on the phone. I don't like talking. Like, when I don't talk on a podcast, you can ask my friends, I don't like to talk. You can text with me or something, or I'll DM with you, but I don't want to pick up a phone call and talk to you. And that's not just because of a podcast. That's how I've always been.
No, yeah.
Like, it's like, if this almost like gives, I can hide myself and like still like act like a normal person and make new friends. Cause old Ryan in real life is not great at that,
So you are, this is your brand identity right now. You are a straight man. that watches Bravo.
Yeah, it's a unicorn. Yeah.
You're a unicorn. So do you find yourself being more, because the only straight men that I know that are like public figures that'll openly admit, because a lot of straight guys watch it, but they don't want to admit to it anyways. So like they will openly admit is Jerry O'Connell and Michael Rappaport. So do you feel like you're a Jerry O'Connell or do you feel like a Michael Rappaport?
I like both of those guys. I don't feel like I'm any of that. And by the way, I got to be careful even labeling myself straight, even though I am, because it's really not, it's not that big of a, the only time it's been a big deal is when I sometimes feel like I'm encroaching on other people's territory, because I believe primarily the Bravo audience is women and homosexuals in like the best way possible. Like I feel like I'm interfering with something that is private to them sometimes. Like I feel that sometimes of like, well, what do you know? You're a straight dude. Why are you here? And like, I know that sounds silly, but like, sometimes I do like, it's like, I don't want that to, I don't know if I'm saying this correctly. I just don't want
you don't want to be like, hey, I'm a straight guy that watches Bravo.
But also I'm like, let me, can I play with you guys? Can I be invited to the table? And that's really how I came about this is like, I just want to be invited to the party. I don't need to be the person inviting people. I don't need to be the best person here. I just want to be a part of it. Like I just
found a sense of community in it.
Yeah, I want to be included. Like I don't want to, and that's what I found. And everybody's been so nice, but it's not like it's not like a straight guy in the sense of like, let me tell you who I want to fuck this week. Like it's not like that. Even though now I feel bad about the Leah thing, but I don't want to. I want to make love to Leah. I don't want to fuck Leah. So
there's a difference.
But it's not the sense of like a straight guy in the sense because I don't like sports. I don't like these are my sports. So like this is where I'm. I don't even know if I excel at it, but this is where my knowledge lies. This is where I've trained all my life. I watched these shows by myself before I even knew anybody was talking about them. And now it's like, well, maybe this is why, if you believe in God and all that, maybe this is why I watch those shows. So eventually I could have a podcast on this.
Yeah.
Which is
that's
crazy,
also how we feel. Like for me personally, I'm like, well, I'm not really like, so I'm 26. So most of my life has been school. So then when I got out of school, I was just like, well, I don't like any of these jobs. I don't like doing any of this shit. So I'm really good at, like making people laugh. And then I also spend a lot of my time watching reality TV. So that's why we even made ours, because of quarantine. And we've always wanted to creatively do something together. So we're just like, if not now, then when? And it's been going so good that it's just like, maybe this is why it happened. Well, like you said, like it's in God's plan. Possibly.
I mean, and also, I used to like say, like, I've been like, man, if I like, you would watch, or I'm friendly with like Danny Pellegrino and Ronnie and Ben or Laura Marie Shane Halls and like those guys. And I'm just like, man, I used to say to myself, like, I'm like, wow, if I could make a living watching TV, like, cause like really at the end of the day, you went to school, like I went to school, but I went to school for theater. I'm an actor, like, so I'm like, I don't have like what I'm good at, like I can watch TV. Like I can watch TV better than anybody can watch TV. Maybe not you guys, but like other people. I'm better. Like I can sit there for 5 hours at a time, not even get up. I can watch TV good. So if I could find a way, like, or not even find a way, but it was just like, I had that thought of, wouldn't it be cool if I could make a living at this? Never thinking that it could happen. Never even in a, and so it's really, really cool and weird that there are opportunities opening up now where it's like, well, I'm not making a full living, but like there's a possibility of it. There's a, and that's like mind blowing because being an actor, you're so used to rejection. You're so used to said, you're not the right person. You don't have the right look. You don't have this or that. So to be in something where you're like accepted a little bit, or you start to have a voice that, like, it shocks me if somebody says something that I said and I'm like, what? Like, I said that. Why are you saying, like, I don't or like, didn't you say this? I'm like, you paid attention to that? That's crazy, but you start to like open yourself up to the possibility of, well, why not me? Why can't I do this? Like, well, you're already watching TV. You're already taking the notes. Why couldn't you make some money doing this? Why? Maybe you are good enough or unique enough that something could happen from this, like you just never know. And I think after coming off like so many hard years, and we're currently in a really hard year, but it's nice to have a little hope. It's nice to have a little hope. That's all I'll say, and you know, and I think I can cover that up. And especially on Instagram, I'm really harsh with my jokes, or I can be. But in reality, I'm not, I don't think of myself as an asshole. I think of myself as like a, you know, really sensitive dude. And it's nice. Even if I didn't make money off this, the community that we
Just to have a community and an outlet
is worth six figures, you know? And I think that that's where you start and you see where you go from there, you know?
And I think it's so great too that you also bring that to the table. The fact that you're a straight guy and you're watching these shows and reality TV, because I believe it creates a sense of normalcy.
Because there's like a stigma.
Yeah, there's a stigma where it's
like, yo, guys, is it gay to watch TV?
I want to watch Nene. I want to see somebody flip a table. Like,
yeah. But by the way, if you like any kind of art, all of this, you know, I always tell all my like the straight dude friends I have, you usually got to like Summer House is a good one to get them started with because it's like basic enough and people are getting shit canned wasted, you know, or like Vanderpump Rules season 1. It's like a good starter, and then they can dip their toes into the Housewives. But like it's easy to make fun of because you don't know it, and that's like anything in life. Anything in life that you don't understand, you make fun of, you rail against. And that's what I find a lot of my straight friends will make fun of me, or I'm the guy of like, well, talk to my girlfriend, she likes that stuff. Or, you know, and that's like when I grew up, like that's was like, oh, you know, my wife will like you know, or this. So I would always be that's why I have like insane amount of friends that are girls, because I would be the guy that would rather talk to them, and I didn't know any sports statistics. I didn't know, and I just didn't care. Like there was nothing. If you want
your thing.
If you want to get me to watch sports, make a reality show of it. Like they have a show on HBO called Hard Knocks that follows like football teams. I watch that every season, and then I stop once it gets to the season. Cause like I love the format of a reality show. I love the format of learning about somebody else's life. I'm down for whatever, any reality show. There's, you know, I'll give a chance, you know, cause it's just the format I like, you know?
So as you said, you're not just a podcaster. You actually got into everything by being an actor. How did you get into the business?
I've been acting since I was a kid. I grew up in Kansas. I started acting when I was in like 6th grade or 7th grade. And I think it was like a church play. And I played like an old man, which is so funny as like a 6th grader. And they put a spirit gum beard on me. And I was like, this is the coolest thing that I've ever done in my life. Like, and I was like,
when you know,
oh my God. I was like, oh my God, I look like an old man. And I look like a 6th grader with like pubic hair glued to his face. And like at the time I was like, oh my God. And I was so nervous. But I was just like, I really love this. And, to this day, I get still insanely nervous for anything I do. But yeah, that then I moved to Arizona because my dad got transferred, and that
from where? Where's the
from Olathe, Kansas. I was born in Columbus, Ohio, but I didn't live there I lived there for like 3 months. Olathe, Kansas, and then Paradise Valley, Arizona. And I all of a sudden got moved from a small town to like a 3,000 person high school. And the people that took me in as somebody that didn't know anybody was the drama club, was the theater geeks. And they took me in. And, you know, like there's something to said for people like, you know, I was around all of these people that were doing this and I wanted to do this. And all of a sudden I remember auditioning for like the Shakespeare play my freshman year. And I was shaking with my, you know, script in my hand auditioning, and I got put in as like a 5-line part. And it kind of just built from there. And like by the end of like senior year of high school, I was getting the leads and everything. And then I had an opportunity to go to NYU, but I chose ASU because I'm an idiot. And because my girlfriend at the time, my high school sweetheart, went to ASU. So I went there, but I met some
love ruins
I
your
know.
life.
I was talking about this with somebody yesterday. You do the stupidest things, your first love. You'll do the stupidest things ever because you're not experienced in love and the way your heart feels. And you're just like, I've never felt like this before. This is insane. You know, so you'll do anything. And I went to ASU for 4 years, but I met a theater guy named Marshall Mason, who was a huge New York Broadway theater director. And he really helped me and like really got me taking it more serious. And then I ended up moving to LA, and like that's when kind of acting like I started with the Groundlings, which is a improvisational sketch group out here that a lot of like Will Ferrell and all those guys came through. But yeah, I mean, it's a life of an actor is not, I mean, I taught acting for 13 years. Like that's the job I just had to got laid off from, you know, but you know, I've done like The Office, How I Met Your Mother, Criminal Minds. I just did Chicago right like the week coronavirus, like the week before lockdown, I had shot an episode of Chicago Med in Chicago.
Wow.
And I flew back on a plane where like all of a sudden we were wearing masks, and then the next week we were in lockdown. And I just shot something yesterday for the Golf Channel. I don't watch golf, so it's for the Golf Channel, but I know I had to go get a coronavirus test, and like, you know, crews are all in masks now and stuff. But I, you know, that's like, if I get an acting job, like that's amazing, but it's not something I don't think at this point, like I'm not like, I never did, but I'm not thinking I'm a star, you know, like I don't think that's in my cards, but it's something that it's a good part of your toolbox. Like I'm a good actor, you know, like I'm a decent actor. I've unless you've seen me in a couple of Lifetime movies, and those are really bad, but
I feel like all Lifetime movies are like, it really is. Yeah, it really is. Be good. Especially the Christmas ones. Like, this is a trilogy at Christmas.
I would kill to be in a Christmas Lifetime movie. That would be that. I mean, no, but yeah. So I mean, like the life of an actor it's really hard. It's a lottery out here, and that's why like I coach actors still, and it's hard because you're dealing in people's dreams, you know, like when you work with an actor, you're working with somebody that is either dumb or realizes that they're going to sacrifice a lot of what you would call a normal life for this art or for this thing inside them that says that they want to share with other people something that they feel about the world. Mm-hmm. And it's a really like, it's a lottery. You could be the best actor in the world. You could even be the best looking person in the world, and it still doesn't guarantee you work in this town, you know? And that's something that is weird. So it's good to have things like this podcast and stuff. It really, like I said, it's really renewed, or reignited a passion in me that it hasn't been there for a while of like, this is so cool, you know?
Yeah. That's like, I was just going to ask you, like, your biggest claim to fame, and when you said The Office, like, that you can't get bigger than The Office.
Not The Office.
Yeah, I want to know what episode.
No, that was, well,
was
you know,
unfortunately, or were you working on it?
Did you?
Oh no, I was working on it. Yeah, I was an actor on it, and but unfortunately, it was in the last season after Steve Carell left. But what had happened was at the office, the casting office, Allison Jones, they brought me in for The Office a lot, and I had booked a role on it the 5th season, I think, and I booked it. I signed the contract, told my parents everything, and then they cut the part right before we shot. They rewrote, they didn't, and I was like, oh, and I had told my parents, and like, you know, the thing is, like, relatives don't understand how Hollywood works, so they're just like, do they hate you? And they're like, no, it just it just happens.
Like, maybe you should come home and go back to law school.
Yeah. It's like the show. Oh God, I have a friend that's like a producer on a big cartoon, actually, like a big one. And
is it Big Mouth?
No, it's American Dad, like
that's
but
dope.
he's been on there for like 9 years now, and his mom even to this day will be like, you know, you can come home anytime you want. Like, he's like, Mom, I bought a house. Like, everything's good. Okay. Like, you know, but people don't understand like the, you know, how you make money and all this. But yeah, I got that part, and then they said, I'm so sorry, we you know, but we're going to bring you back. We're going to remember you. We're going to bring you back. And I remember the last season, I think it was like the 9th season, that had not happened. And I was like, well, that's a shame. That's one of my favorite shows. And all of a sudden I got a call one day, and they said, hey, you know, are you free to, you know, for The Office? And I was like, yeah, like when's the audition? And they're like, no, we remembered you. We wrote something for you. You just have to come and do it. And I was in like 2 of the last episodes of the season, but it's really cool because it's like they really did remember, you know, like they really did. They were like, oh my God,
they weren't lying this time.
Well, they remembered my audition from the first one, and they were like, it was such a kind group of people. But yeah, like, no, that was a real thing. I'm trying to think. Yeah, like anytime I work as an actor at this point, I feel like it's really kind of blessed. But I do a lot of voiceovers too. So that's like a whole nother thing that has nothing to do with my looks or anything. Like I can keep eating brie cheese in my bed and do voiceovers, you know?
Yeah. Like I fucking hate my voice. And even like, I hate listening back to our podcast.
Oh God.
And everyone's like, it's literally fine. I'm like, I don't really want to re-listen to my own podcast or even our guest spots that much because I hate the sound of my own voice.
I was on, I take voiceover classes with like a really big teacher out here, and I do it over, you know, Zoom now, or not Zoom, Skype. And I got last Friday, I got railed. Like I got like, she just took me to task. Like you're sucking. This is not good. And I literally was like, I'll have you know, I have a lot of people that listen to my podcast and they think I'm fine. Like, you know, and I'm
He
like,
doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah,
Like, fuck you and your podcast.
it is funny. It's just,
So, what's your biggest like Bravo claim to fame? Because we've done some creeping on you, and we saw that you went to fucking Buca de Beppo.
Oh
the
yes,
room at Buca de Beppo. Please tell me what is your biggest like Bravo claim to fame, and then how that experience like at Buca de Beppo was. Like, tell us a little bit about that.
I mean, have you seen The Face of God? That's what it was like. That's what it was like. No,
I would love to.
You know, I mean, this is a second close. I mean, my first claim of fame was I have a couple of lines in Vanderpump Rules at Tom Tom with Lisa. Me and Laura Marie Shanols, we filmed a scene with Lisa, and that was like my original claim to fame. But this is amazing.
Wait, hold the fuck up. You're in Vanderpump Rules?
Yeah, so there's like a scene when they all go to like, I think it's called.
Why is he skipping?
Well, by the way, wait. By the way, I'm in a bunch of scenes actually, because I'm in a lot of the. Over the years, I've been I've been a diner. They'll hire extras, and like I knew somebody that worked on the show. So you'll see me sometimes in like eating, like, you know, like I'll be eating in the background, and they'll use the same shots in like multiple episodes. So I've seen myself pop up on like 4 or 5 episodes of the same dinner. But I did that. But then so one time, this was like 2 Christmases ago. I got an email from my buddy that knows the producer and was like, "Hey, do you want to do this?" And I thought it was like another dinner scene. And I was like, "Oh, yeah, it'll be fun." Yeah. Like, and I was like, "Oh, Tom Tom, cool." Cause we usually do it at Sir. And I was like, "Oh yeah, that would be cool." And they said, I invited my buddy Laura, who does a Vanderpump Rules podcast. And we showed up, and all of a sudden there was nobody there. It was like 5 p.m. And I'm like, I thought this was like a crowd scene. Like, why are we the only people here? And then they're like, "Oh, hey, what's up?" And then they start miking us up, and they started putting mics on us, and we're like, "What is going on?" And I mean, this is why like you can take reality shows with a grain of salt. It was on the episode where they all go to Cabo or like some Mexico vacation. It was the episode. It's called FOMO Mexico or FOMO in Mexico, I think. Mm-hmm. And all the crew left the weekend Tom opened. Conveniently. And that's the one where Tom's like, "Oh my God, there's a line down to Motherlode." Like, and everybody's like, "Yay." So it was supposed to take place the weekend of that, but this was shot like 4 months later. And it was basically me, Lisa, Laura, and who's the manager?
The guy.
The good-looking black dude from the
freaking bartender.
No, the guy. Anyways, it was. I'll remember. Anyways, so basically, what they needed to do is that they needed they were understaffed, I guess, is the scene. But like, so Lisa comes up to the table and asks, like, you know, how the vegan pasta is, you know, and Laura's supposed to like say this, and I'm like, "It's spicy," you know, and they left it in the episode. But the funny thing is, they act like it's all busy. It was just the 3 of us in the restaurant, and and the funny thing was, I showed up and realized we had lines, and I was like, "Oh my God, they don't even realize I brought the girl that makes fun of this." Like on her podcast is just straight Vanderpump Rules, and now we're pretty much trolling the show. They put us in the show that she trolls. And it was great. And then they let us like stay around when it finally opened, and like we ate and drank there and got hammered. But it was but Lisa was very professional. She nailed her lines. We did the scene like 3 times, and that was my original, because I was like, I couldn't believe it made it to air. And I remember Danny Pellegrino and Ariana texted me the same day, because I guess they get their advanced copies on the same day. Yeah. They're like, "Guess who I just saw on the episode?" And I was like, we made it. Oh my God. And that was so like, there's a gif of us out there saying that, I think, somewhere, but Buca de Beppo was a similar experience in the fact that once I heard that Dorit was doing a Buca de Beppo room, I was like, that's the coolest / stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. The fact that Dorit's taste would be in a Buca de Beppo.
But it's actually Capri, Italy, if you didn't know. How
The Capri room, yes. But I always say Dorit's room because it's an extension of Dorit's style. And I just thought it was the coolest. I thought it was the stupidest thing. And on my podcast, I would do this thing where I would do these fantasy sequences where I would say, you know, once COVID is over, all of us, we're going to get 1,000-person party bus, and we're going to meet at a high school, and we're all going to load the bus, and then we're going to play our favorite like Bravo celebrity songs. We're going to be partying, we're going to be drinking, we're going to be doing this, and it's going to take us an hour and a half to get to Buca de Beppo because of LA traffic, and it's just going to be, and we're going to party, and we're going to get there. And I always thought of it as like the big celebration. Like once we're all able to go there, we know the world is safe again, and we just get hammered, and I bring Leah, and it was like all these like fantasy sequences in my head.
Leo would be on his arm.
It would always be me at like 3 a.m. in my bedroom talking about this. Like I would just be so tired that I would just start saying the stupidest shit. And but when I got to go there, it was amazing. And the thing was, like, because you can't eat inside yet because of everything. So I got there and I asked the manager, you know, like if I could see the room. And you know, it's funny. It's like when you build up something so much in your head and you think it's like the Sistine Chapel or something, and then somebody is like, you ask if they want, and they're like, yeah, of course. You really want to see that room?
I'm like, you're letting me in?
I mean, I'm like, it's gold. You mean like, they're literally like, yeah, I don't care. Like, and then I went in there and I turned to her and I was like, can I have a moment in there? You know? And like, she was like,
not a moment.
She was like, yeah, I guess, you know, and like, and I was me and my friend are in there, and I'm like, get a shot of me over here, and then I like take a picture of me over here. I'm like, oh, like, and I'm like, I'm just walking around, and I'm almost like tearing up. I'm like, because like I was like, and like she'd like ducked her head in. She's like, are you guys like, you know, you could just tell she was like, what is wrong with this guy? Like, and because then I was like, my friend was getting photos, and I'm like, no, I don't like myself in that photo. Like I was being a real prima donna. And
it's serious though, like it's the room. Like, did you get to sit in the chair that Brandy sat in and was like, I saw yes, it's a very the energy coming off that, the heat coming off that chair is, but it's just so I can't explain. I mean, you guys, if you've been to a Buca de Beppo, you guys know is that it goes from like the classic stupid Italian kind of like red and white and the Pope's heads over here, and then all of a sudden you go like, if anybody listening is epileptic, I do not suggest you go in there, because you're going to be so shocked from like the red to the bright white and yellow, you're going to have a seizure. Like it's like that shocking, and it makes no sense. It's different.
Yet I think it's so perfect. Like I love those things that make zero sense. And I remember tagging Dorit in my stories that I was there, and she immediately reposted it, because I almost think she was like, see, I told the manager I would bring business in.
Literally,
I told
everyone,
you know,
wants to go there.
But I like when you treat something like that's not like the normal, like nobody like if I explained this to my parents, they wouldn't understand it, or the normal average person, but to this audience, to the Bravo audience, it's sacred. And I think that's it really does. Like we endow
and you went while Beverly
Hills
was airing. I feel like that's what made it also.
Yeah, I also
the perfect timing. It's like, oh my God.
I also tagged Brandy, and I was like, I'm here. Could you pop by? Because I was like, she obviously just drives around the valley looking for housewives scenes to be in. You know?
Yeah, she was just in the neighborhood, obviously. We couldn't wait to fucking ask you about that. Like, I had that in my outline as soon as
then I was like, hey, is there merch? I was like, I'll buy. Is there merch? Is there like, can I buy something? Like, I was like, what a missed opportunity. Like, I'm the idiot that like, if they had Real Housewives action figures, I'd buy them. You know, like that's where I think my straightness comes in. Of like, I want toys, man. I want toys. I want like those little pop figures of like the Vanderpump Rules. Like I get so excited that like it's the holidays again, because like a couple of people sent me ornaments last year of, and I'm like, I gotta play with those again, you know?
Speaking of the holidays, I'm so glad you brought it up, because in these last few podcasts, we've been talking about the holidays, because I was born, I'm going to tell the story every time. I was born 2 days before his baby Jesus. I was born December 23rd. And I am a holiday baby through and through, but everyone knows not to get me a combination present, because I don't get anyone else a combination present. So we are going to ask you about.
By the way, that sounded insanely threatening the way you just said
it was.
Well, like,
see,
I'm not shy about it. Like, don't give me, unless you're giving me like a car, then you cannot combine two presents into one. I don't give a fuck who you are. So I like to ask people holiday themed questions, and that's what we're gonna do.
I respect that.
So now, Halloween is over. No one really did anything for Halloween. And if you did, you're kind of a shitty person. So for Thanksgiving, what is your favorite Thanksgiving food?
Okay, so my ex used to make this, and now my mom does, but it's meat stuffing. So it's stuffing. Yeah. It's like with sausage and meat, and like it is so insanely good, warm, cold, whatever. Like stuffing in general is just dope, but like this meat stuffing really blows me. It's like where I'm like, I would ask for it to be made just as the meal itself. Like I'm like, I'll just eat the meat stuffing. Like the meat stuffing was, and it was something that I had no idea even existed until my ex, and I was just like, this is amazing, like so that. And a close second is my mom makes this pumpkin cake thing where it's like a cake, kind of like a hard cake bottom, like a hard cake, and then it's hard to explain. I'll send you guys a picture at Thanksgiving when she does it, but it's it's not a pumpkin pie, it's a pumpkin cake, but it's not soft. It's like it's hard to explain. She just calls it pumpkin cake, but it's really, really.
Is there like a glaze over it or something?
There is but it's mainly about the crust underneath it. It's like a mixture of like
pie cake,
like pie crust but like mixed with like nuts and then you have like the pie, and then you put nuts on top of that, and it's just like the crust is just so special. Like it's just really good. But I'm even like a guy that loves it, like the green beans and the junk.
The casserole?
The green bean casserole. I love that. It's called green bean junk. Green bean junk.
Green bean junk. Okay, so since you have been to Sir, and you've been to Tom Tom, and you've been to Buca de Beppo, we're going to have you make a Thanksgiving meal out of things only from Sir, Tom Tom, and Buca de Beppo.
I can do it.
I mean, we didn't doubt you. He's like, I can do it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so I guess Thanksgiving would be my favorite things, and I guess I'll throw in the goat cheese balls, even though it's not my favorite, but my mom really liked it when she went. It's popular. So we'll throw it in there, but we'll add, they only give you 3 goat cheese balls per order, which is just like, who does that? It's such a ripoff. And like, you got to,
because of what it is.
If you're 2 people, 2 and 2, like you get 3, like you're splitting a goat cheese ball down the middle. So I would do that as like some kind of appetizer.
Right.
And then of course, then when you go over to Tom Tom, they have these vegan buffalo cauliflower, vegan buffalo cauliflower wings, I think, or it's like it's weird, but it's like really good. It's like weirdly good, and they have this thing I would want to put on there where it's like their version of the Taco Bell crunchy.
Oh, they love Taco Bell.
It's like their version of the crunchy supreme wrap, but it's like actually really, really good. And so those would go on there. And then I think you got to go over to Buca de Beppo over there. And I got to just tell you, I can't differentiate their food at all. It's just like a bunch of salt. So we get a tray of their
lasagna,
salt.
Their lasagna and their mozzarella squares are like, listen, because they deliver, and I've been eating a lot of Buca de Beppo, and that's why I felt seen when Dorit had a room there, and I was like, God, I wish it was Hollywood, Florida instead of Hollywood, California. That's where we live at in Florida. But like I've had the fucking mozzarella triangles, delicious, A1, and then the lasagna, and it's like it's better than Olive Garden. I thought it was just gonna be like just like Olive Garden, but Buca de Beppo is like when you actually want to like put on a dress shirt, I feel.
Well, wait. Well, but Buca de Beppo is where you want to put on a dress shirt, but you will not fit into that dress shirt on the way out.
Exactly.
Like the size of their portions, it's like the size of my podcast. It's like overpowering. It's like we don't need this much. There's no need for this much. We are taking home like so many leftovers. But yeah, I mean, Buca de Beppo, I don't know. Like I mean, we had a couple things that night when I was there on the outside patio, and it was like, it all tasted very salty, but I was happy to be out, I was happy to be in public, in a safe way. But
I mean, but
yeah,
remember, you said you can do it. So you have to choose something from Buca de Beppo. I've never seen someone sweat.
Because I really want to try to think, maybe the chicken piccata, because it's not as heavy as you know, like I just started feeling full when you were talking about the cheese squares and the lasagna. So I was like,
I started getting hungry.
I know, God, yeah, it's time for one of my feedings almost.
Okay, so you said the goat cheese balls at Sir. You go over to Tom Tom. You have vegan cauliflower wings.
Yeah,
The,
and the tostita
the like Taco Bell-esque thing, and you finish it off with some chicken piccata.
And then for dessert, I would say the pumptini, because they put so much fucking sugar in that thing. They like literally. I gotta warn anybody: once all that stuff is open again, do not get the pumptini. You act like you think you're having a good time. You will wake up with the nastiest hangover, and you're like, I'm not kidding you. There's like a pound of sugar in those drinks, and they will like some of the worst hangovers of my life and other people's lives that I've talked to has been at Sir and Pump. They way
you get caught
overdo
up in the
it.
hype though.
They way over. Oh
like
yes, very exciting.
And Pump.
You see the magic happening. Yeah,
yeah, like that's what I hope will eventually happen. Like we get big enough to get like invited to California. It's not just like
that's the dream, is to get all of you guys, like the people that live out there, like to get. That's why I was like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if BravoCon, if it ever happens again, is in LA, and then everybody can come out here and we can all hang out. You know,
exactly.
Like that would be awesome.
BravoCon at Sir.
Yeah, like Sir. That sounds a little ghetto when you think about it. But the after party.
People really don't understand. It's really all in the same block. It's the circuit. All three of those restaurants are within 3 blocks of each other. You know.
Yeah, like I saw when Ariana Grande was celebrating
she drove by Pump,
when she was, and I was like, oh, I gotta tell people.
Well, no, you talked about that. Like it's one of those things. It's like you get so proud when the thing that you like is featured in a mainstream way.
The whole
so
50 Cent and Lala drama.
Yeah, when 50 Cent, I'm like, see, this is the show I was telling you about, folks. And
it never gets mentioned in the same sentence. And then when
that 50 Cent Lala thing should be a national holiday. Like they really, like we should celebrate that every year.
Andy Cohen is very like amused by it too, because he's cool with 50 and he's cool with Lala. But every time 50 comes on Watch What Happens Live, he asks about Lala, and I'm like,
did you see how he was so? I loved how he. Did you see the Watch What Happens Live with the Real Housewives of Salt Lake this week with all the cast members? It was really funny to watch Andy try not to laugh at certain times, because he could tell. He's like, oh, we got magic. This is good. You could see he was being relieved, where he was actually like, oh, good, this works, you know?
Thank God they're not boring.
Yeah, because it was like a whole year after they announced it. They've been filming for years. Like babies have been born. They have footage from like 2018 or some shit on Salt Lake City. Okay,
wait, did you guys wait? You were on that Zoom with the premiere thing.
Yeah,
I saw it at the drive-in premiere, and I was watching it today taking notes. They cut a couple of the scenes that I actually saw. Did you guys see, like, did you guys have the scene where Meredith's husband like had the son plant roses everywhere?
Yeah, we had that scene. And
but I noticed it wasn't in the episode that I just watched to take notes on. So did some things not make it to air?
Yeah, I think it's because of like the time limit, since it was like a supersized one.
And also when he made fun of Prince, when he was saying like, who's Prince?
Yes.
Like the son said that.
They had some golden moments in there. Right. It didn't make it to the main one.
I think because the show didn't last an additional like 5 to 10 minutes, because usually it's off at like 10.
An hour. Yeah, it was still
like
supersized.
10:09.
So maybe we'll see that next week before the first one. We'll have the never before seen
and then
moments.
we'll feel like we know something. Like, guys, all of this didn't happen.
I just got confused because I take notes on all this stuff, and then I'm like, did I miss something? Like I start to mistrust myself. Like, oh my God, did I just zone out completely? Like and then I was like, no, it definitely wasn't in there.
Exactly. No, it's just that you had exclusive information.
Right. We're Bravo, hashtag Bravo.
I got to find out how you guys are getting on those Zooms. That's what I want to get on. I want to, I got to get on those Zooms. That's
Oh, yeah. I have to tell you guys, I was also on Watch What Happens Live.
I put in for that months ago or whatever. Nobody even like ever taught, and I was like, okay, I think I might have made somebody mad over there. I don't know.
You'll go up on one day, Ryan. Don't worry about it. But I was on there, and
I'm gonna get you a Christmas gift and a birthday gift as one gift. So I'm gonna keep
you asshole. It was fun. It was with Kern and the Duce Sloan, and I got picked to ask a question. It was like the best day of my life. I was so nervous.
The best question.
Yeah, like my question was, guys, if you can go back, I don't know. Yeah, it aired right after Potomac, so I'm like, oh, excuse me, sorry, I'm after Potomac. So I'm sorry, fuck all of you, I'm famous. So my question was, do you think that George and Kellyanne Conway had sex on election night? And what do you think of their relationship? And Duce like looked at me and she was like, I don't like to think about Kellyanne Conway, you know, she's creepy. And then like I saw like after they aired it, because me and my mom were watching it, I'm like, Mom, look, it's me. This Bravo shit, it's working.
Were you nervous?
I was actually really nervous, but then I also feel like I'm a star. So I was just like ready for it. So, and then they were like, because the whole process is crazy. And for some reason they use Skype instead of Zoom. So I was like, we're going backwards, but okay, I'll re-download Skype. And then you talk to the producer, and then you talk to the other people that are on there, and they choose 2 people to ask a question.
Did you guys have to fight? Did you be like, I'll do it? Or did you?
No, they were like, I forgot, I think his name was Greg or George. Yeah, they were like, George and Kaya, you guys are asking questions, and then they gave us the questions to ask. And then I was like, okay, and then we did a practice round, and then they take us to another room on Skype. And like the two
another room on Skype.
You can't hear anything. You can see Andy. You can see Andy next to the robots. What do we call them? The TV screens that the guests are on. You're watching the show go on, and then they're like, oh, in Act 2 is when you have your questions. So I'm like, okay, Act 2. I'm like dabbing my face, making sure it's not oily. And then they're like, okay, Kaya, you're on. And then Andy goes, Kaya has a question, and I'm like, he knows my name.
that would be insane. That would be really
that's
cool.
why I posted that whole Jingle All the Way clip. I was like, he knows my name. Andy Cohen said my name, so I can edit it in literally anything. Andy saying Kaya. So then, like, I asked the question, she answered the question, and then it was like, okay, we're going to commercial. I'm like, yeah, commercial, guys. And they did like Act 3 where they were talking, you know, Karen went in on Giselle, Duce talked about her movie, and then they're like, thank you so much, you guys did so good. And they're like, George and Kaya, you guys did perfect on your questions. And I'm just like, yeah, I know, thank you. If you ever need me again, I'll be here. And that was like amazing.
I liked if you expected, you're like, are you gonna let the other people go and me stay, or like, how do we do this? Like,
I was literally in the room while other people had already logged out. I'm like, okay, how'd I do? And they're like, okay, you guys can like log out now.
Is there any notes? I'm up for constructive criticism.
I literally messaged them and was like, if you ever need me again at any time.
I used to be one of the talking heads on TMZ on the you know, the TV show they do, you know, and it would be the same thing of like, you would do it on Skype, and then they would be like, okay, Ryan, you would get like, in the morning you'd wake up and they'd give you like 5 stories, and you would choose which ones you wanted to do, and then they would get you one, or they'd give you one like right before, and you have to like think of some stuff to say, and then they would get you on, and you would hear the Harvey and those guys talking, and then all of a sudden they'd be like, okay, you're on, and then you'd have to say the question real quick,
how it was.
and then you'd have to wait to see, like, sometimes Harvey would like say something and you'd have to be ready for that, and sometimes it'd be like, okay, moving on, you know.
Yeah, they told me, they were like, ask them how they are and say whatever you want. So I was like, hi, how are you? And then she's like, hi, Kyle. And I'm like, yes, this is going great. I asked my question, and that was that. But anyways, back to the podcast.
By the way, this is what, these are called building blocks. These are like things where it's like, when you become super famous, when people track you down, like then they'll be like, wow, it all started with the podcast, the Instagram, to the podcast.
That's what we do.
To watch what happens live, to this, to this, to this, is that there's always a trail of things that somebody's like, some overnight success always has a trail of work behind them,
like,
you know?
She's been there somewhere. Like me and Aaron, like we always go back to, oh my God, we were literally in our beds respectively saying we should start a podcast, and now we're Zooming with Potomac. We're Zooming with Salt Lake City. We're on Watch What Happens Live. It's just like,
I know,
I never thought of it.
Nothing is, well, I mean, things are impossible, but nothing is impossible. Like, you really do. Like, it's important to set goals. It's important not to say no at our heads. I think we're so negative. I am myself. I'll down talk myself all the time. And it's important to realize that like these things can happen. that, you know, like these things, like have dreams, like go for your dreams, like put it out there, because you never know. And the thing is, like with us, like I feel the same way, is that like we're doing good, man, but like we're staying ready. Like we're staying ready, because when like some amazing opportunity happens, we'll be ready. Like we'll be ready. Like don't get ready, stay ready, you know, like always be at this moment. Always be at this moment, because you never know what's going to knock on your door tomorrow, and you got to be ready to say yes to it, you know?
Yeah, and it's crazy because we're doing all these things just from the internet.
Yeah.
Like from social media, from fucking Instagram.
I mean, somebody sent me a sweatshirt the other day. I was like, I got this sweatshirt because of Instagram.
Exactly. Like we got free masks from, shout out Gold Half Moon Co. Everyone loves her.
Kay.
It's the best.
Kay is a goddess among women.
Exactly. And she sent us free masks. And I'm like, wow, I'm an influencer. But okay, so we got to get back to the Christmas, the holiday portion. Now your question for Christmas is like, what's been your best Christmas gift that you had either as an adult or even as like a child?
That's a really great question. You know what, by the way, that's another podcast thing, is that when somebody throws you off, like, you're like, that's a really great question. Like anything that makes you think, you're just like, and it's shocking that anything makes you
let's
think.
Just like kill the dead air.
You know, I gotta say the Christmas, not last Christmas, the Christmas before that, it was the Christmas after my divorce, and my parents were just, there was no specific gift. It was just that there was like, it's hard to explain, but there was just, I remember I got this really nice blender, and it was just one of those things of like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to be all right. You know, like I remember that moment.
It's just weird.
I remember that moment of like, okay, like I was so nervous about Christmas morning because it was so new without my ex, and it turned out to be okay. And it wasn't any one gift. I mean, the blender was insanely nice, and I couldn't believe it. And I think my parents knew that I probably needed something like a little nicer or something. And I don't know, like that Christmas will always stand out to me because it really scared me, you know, but yeah, I should, I don't know. And also last year, last year was really cool because I had just started the podcast, and a lot of listeners sent me ornaments for my little tiny tree, you know, like, and I put up a tiny tree for the first time last year. I'd never had my own tree, and I got to decorate it with like Bravo ornaments and stuff. And that was another thing that I'll always remember. And I can't wait to put it up again. Cause I said last year, I was like, I never was like the Christmas spirit guy. I never was that guy. And I said last year, I was like, I think I want to try. I think I want to be the Christmas spirit guy.
It makes you, especially in 2020, it makes you feel so much better.
Like
especially
it really helps.
The movies, the music, everything like lifts your spirit. So what's your favorite Christmas song?
There is a mashup of
you knew this one at least.
I did. I was fascinated. I play a lot of mashups in my podcast, and there's a mashup of Marilyn Manson and Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas Is You, but it's mixed with Beautiful People. So it's like, all I want for Christmas, the beautiful people, the beautiful people. Like, it's like this really intense mashup, but it made me laugh so hard when I found it, and I put it at the top of my podcast last year, and I cannot wait to play that again, because so many people were like shocked that it even existed, and I was shocked too. But that is and there's a Bruce Springsteen Santa Claus is Coming to Town version, a live version where Clarence Clemens, the sax man, he was like an amazing saxophone player that passed away a couple of years ago, and I remember this live version from a kid, and he's always like, you know, hit it, Clarence, you know. And I always thought, like, I always loved that song and this moment in this song, and that always sticks with me too. I always play that at Christmas.
Oh my God, we love Christmas. Well, I love Christmas music, but you love certain Christmas music, like especially like the Destiny's Child,
Christina Aguilera's Christmas album.
See, like that's where I'm not versed. Like this is like a little bit of the straight man in me. I'm not versed in, like, I don't know like all like the pop sing. Like I don't have the 98 Degree Christmas album, and I don't have and by the way, I just probably wouldn't listen to it anyways, but I love it when it's on at somebody's house or something. Yeah. So it's something I need to strengthen, to get into. But I would like, I'm trying to think, like, we do need like I think it's just so idiotic that Lou doesn't have a Christmas
A
album.
Christmas song, yeah.
I mean, how idiotic. She'd corner the market. Like right now, if you put out a Luann Christmas CD like next week, it would sell. It would do really decently in this year alone. Like it's just like a dumb business move that she hasn't.
I don't know. We need to speak to her manager, her PR, or something. Sometimes she responds to us, so maybe we'll suggest it in her comments.
Yeah, she's like liked things I've done or something like that, but I can't
get any meaningful interaction.
I can't get the follow. I can't get the.
She's too famous.
No. If you want to follow, you got to go to Sonia. Sonia follows everyone.
Oh, I think I've upset Sonia along the way. Like she'll like my stuff, but she won't like follow me, and I'm like,
oh, sorry.
Something's up here, so
Yeah, she follows us.
She's like, you said something.
I know. But wait, does Leah follow you guys?
Yeah. Well, no, Leah doesn't follow us, but Sonia follows us. Ashley from Potomac follows us. I think. Yeah, Monique follows us. Freaking Bravo itself follows us.
I'm glad Ashley doesn't follow me though, because I would feel horrible. I would feel horrible making the Michael Darby jokes and stuff.
Yeah, that's what also puts me on notice and censors me. Is that okay? Some of these people follow me and they're real people, so you need to calm down.
I know it's like that's why it's like hard. Like it's like if I knew some of these people personally, it would be a lot harder to do the jokes I do. Because at the end of the day, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. So it's like sometimes I don't think about them as real people. I think about them as characters on my favorite shows. It's like we can make fun of people on Succession. Like it's like if those people were real, I'm sure they would hurt their feelings.
For sure. I'm obsessed with that show. I can't wait until that shit comes back, especially when fucking Pusha T came out and he made like
I listened to that. I played that on one of my podcasts one time because I was like, oh my god, look what they
music on your podcast. Do you have to pay for it? Are you doing this illegally?
I don't. I think there's a bad connection. I didn't.
Oh, okay, yeah. So, anyways, we'll go into we want to go into the last part of our podcast. We have a special treat. We have some bad news to deliver. If you haven't heard, you guys probably already heard. Rest in peace to Alex Trebek. He was a staple in everyone's house. Black, white, it doesn't matter. Even people who don't even speak English. There was a guy who talked about how he learned English from watching Jeopardy. He's passed away, succumbed to cancer, but we just have so many great memories of Alex Trebek. We want to play a little bit of, since you're on Bravo While Black, we got to do some black ass shit, right? So we're going to play Black Bravo Jeopardy. We have a few questions for you. It's not going to be too hard. You ready?
Okay. Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. This housewife star was named after what fast food chain?
Who is Dr. Wendy Acefo? Is it?
Ding, 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 ding.
Yes. Yes.
Got it right.
Yes. Okay.
That's what I made the joke. I made the joke this week. Wouldn't it be so funny if Wendy was named after Taco Bell? Like whenever Dad worked at Taco Bell, and so her name was like Taco Bell Acefo. Yeah, like Gordita Acefo.
Okay, so Wendy has blank degrees.
What is 4 degrees?
Ding, 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 ding.
Yes.
Okay, so we have another level for you. It's a little bit harder now. Portia Williams is a descendant of this civil rights leader.
Oh,
it's in her name. It's in her hint. It's in her name. Portia Williams.
Is this a daily double? Is this a daily double?
No, it's not a daily double. It's just fucking answer the question.
Dang it, I did.
The last name is Williams. Are you Googling? Brian, look at the damn camera. Are you Googling right now?
I was.
No,
Hosea Williams? Williams?
It's Hosea Williams, but you did not get the point because
I don't know. I did not
if you were really on Jeopardy right now,
you would be
gone.
And I let your head go down for too long, and I'm like, wait, it just came to me. Is he literally Googling?
I did know the Dr. Wendy. I did know the 4 degrees. There was no, and you guys know that.
Okay, and now you're still in, the second level. You failed that question, but
I'm not going to get this one either.
No, you're going to get this one right because you're very well versed in Vanderpump Rules. You want to do it, Aaron?
Okay. Faith was the second Black woman to appear on Vanderpump Rules. Who was the first?
We'll give you a hint. She was a singer and a friend to Sheena Shea.
Dude, I why am I blanking on this? No, I don't know. No, wait. Oh, please, you guys don't do this to me. Wait, just think right. Please, singer and a friend's.
No.
I can't. I don't have it.
It was Tina. You don't fucking remember Tina? I'm sorry. I had to get his ass.
Do not. Okay.
Oh my God, he's crying, guys. Sorry.
I'm so ashamed. I don't, and I'm not good on the spot. I'm not good with pressure. Us
either. And that's why I love playing this.
More Potomac questions.
We can put you
More
guys
Potomac.
on the spot.
More Potomac. Yeah.
Okay, fine. I'll make up a Potomac question because you're gonna fail this last
Yeah,
one. If we ask the
married
last
to medicine
one.
related.
Yeah, it's a married to medicine one. So you were gonna feel it automatically, but it's like on Married to Medicine, there was two friends. It was Quad and Mariah. And they used to say, Miss Quad, she got it. So we were gonna have you finish it, but you don't watch Married to Medicine, so there's no way you could have known. So I'm gonna make up a Potomac question on the spot. Okay, Giselle wore a T-shirt to her press conference with Karen. What was on the back of the T-shirt?
Okay, well, it's good talking to you guys, and we'll talk to you next time. Yeah.
You don't remember?
I suck. I'm sorry.
Ryan is the worst.
I think we're gonna keep it. Yes. We told you before.
Wait, no. I say please keep it. Please keep it. I give you full permission.
It's funny not. It's too
I'm so ashamed.
This is
well,
what
okay,
you signed
so
up for.
you got 2 out of 5 right, which is like 2 out of 4. Yeah, 2 out of 4 right. You failed, but guess what? You don't get a prize. Good thing, because we didn't have a prize for you.
I was like, I was gonna get really upset if there was a prize. I was gonna get.
Oh well, it was an amazing prize.
5 prizes.
Best prize ever. I swear to God, I never had a better prize. But now you have punishment. Your punishment is that you have to watch Southern Charm New Orleans.
That's not a punishment.
And you have to watch at least some of Married to Medicine.
I'm down with both of those. I'm not. That's not
even
a punishment. That's not even a punishment.
Yeah, that's your sentencing for not winning Black Jeopardy, white man.
I'm part of the problem. I am part of the problem.
No,
I'm ashamed of myself and my ancestry. This is my ancestors.
Okay.
My ancestors didn't know these answers either, and I'm ashamed. And I thank you.
Funny as hell. You're good sport though. But
by the way, you think it's like a good sport. Like, I'm fine with it. I'm stupid all the time. Like, my podcast is literally me like admitting I'm stupid for 4 hours. Like, that's not like that won't be a shock to anybody that's listening because of me on your podcast. No, but by the way, when we start this game, I know people at home would be like, he's not gonna know it. Like, I know they would not have he's not gonna know it.
Well, but now that I gave you the answers, do you remember Tina though? Remember
of course,
when,
yes.
She was friends with Sheena and like
she really wanted to know. You can tell. Do you know Tina?
Yeah, do you know Tina? Like, come on.
I still think there's like, I once almost got to interview Sheena, but I couldn't talk about anything Vanderpump Rules, and so
then what are we gonna talk about?
I pitched. Well, it ended up not happening because of everything. But I was going to do an hour interview with her just about her music. Yes. Like, go over lyrics, go over like, what did you mean? Like, what was it like in the studio when you were like, what was it like when you were in the studio recording that? Did you know you had a hit on your hands? Did you know, like, I was going to take it so seriously, and I thought that would have been the coolest interview, because wouldn't it be amazing to hear Sheena talk about herself like a pop artist, You
gotta still do that. Like, listen. She is the moment. Her, Luann, Kim Zolciak, obviously Candy, and Erica Jane are the moment, and they are the pop stars of Bravo.
Do you guys watch Don't Be Tardy at all?
We don't know who's still watching it. We did a survey, and it was 90% don't watch it, 10% watch it. We watched it like the first couple seasons. It was good to see the dynamic between the family, but now it's just like, okay, enough.
I'm covering it on my my Patreon this season, and it's not like nothing happens, but it's like this weird It's like this weird breath of fresh air because nothing happens. It's only 30 minutes long. It's like 22 minutes without commercials. And it's like literally like the biggest thing that happened is that their RV broke down and then they called somebody out to fix it. And that was it.
Like, oh my God, I need to see.
Yeah, Kim was like drinking from a red Solo cup, and like, and then part of the episode was that they went to like a nut store and they had her deli meat she likes, and I was like, this is so refreshing. Like nothing's happening.
It was good background noise.
Nothing's happening. You know,
is her chef still on there?
Yeah, that's what people.
She was on. She was on the first 3 episodes before she had to go home to take care of her child that she has, but. Even then, like there's no draw, like there's not, I'm not complaining, just nothing happens. Nothing happens.
No, that's kind of a good thing when you have a network where, you know, like every other episode, someone's screaming.
Sometimes it's good to watch light reality shows.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a breath of fresh air. They can't even make it an hour. Like nothing's happening enough to make it an hour. They're like, we can't even. And what they'll do is they'll even like when they go to commercial, they show you like the previews for what's coming up in the next segment. And then when they come back from that, they show you what you just saw in the last segment. Like they don't even have enough time. Like they're trying to stall for time because they only have a little bit of footage, I think. And it is so funny to watch with that in mind, you know?
People say that they watch for number 1, the chef, obviously, and then number 2, Croy. So I get why people watch.
I gotta tell you, Croy, he really just seems like Croy. Well, by the way, with my friend Maritza, we go over together, and she is in love with Croy. She finds like ass shots of Croy. She's like, she'll like send me like just like
he does have his high ass.
shots of Troy and his butt, and she's like, "Come on, tell me you don't like this." And she
please tell her to follow us.
Yeah. Like, I think she probably already does. Maritza Lopez. I'm sure she does. She does all my really great graphics. But she's so horny for Croy, and our podcast about it is way longer than the actual show. We do like an hour. We do an hour.
Shout out to her.
We do an hour podcast about a 30-minute episode, you know, so.
Well, Ryan, we had literally the best time with you.
Yeah, this was very special. This was like, I'm so lucky to finally meet you guys, and this was an insane blast, so thank you.
We got to do this again. So know, just like our other friends that we forced to be on our podcast, you're going to get forced to come back.
You're going to be forced to be on mine, so yeah, all good.
So please tell people where they can reach you and what you have going on and to look forward to.
Yeah, you guys, the podcast is So Bad It's Good with Ryan Bailey. What I would ask, and I would ask this for Bravo While Black as well, is that we do these things for free. If you do want to support us, the freest thing that you can do is hit that 5-star button on there. It does mean a lot, I guess, in terms of metrics and things like that. And you know, it's free. That's all you have to do, and you get all this content for free. If you want to support us even more, I know you guys don't have a Patreon yet, but I do. For $5 a month, you get a bunch of different recaps. I do Potomac on there. I'm doing Potomac, Below Deck, OC, which is
Party
horrible.
Party
for the party. So if you want, there's like 55 episodes on there right now that you get all with like $5 a month, and I keep adding 4 or 5 to those every week. If you want my opinions on the election, there's an hour-long podcast on there about that. There's a lot of cool stuff with new people and guests, and you get to find out about them and me a little bit more. I'm trying to do this for a living, so if you want to support, it's there. If not, I get it. It'll always be there because it's been a tough year. And on Instagram, So Bad It's Good with Ryan Bailey. I just do a lot of what we call shit posting. It's just goofy stuff, and reach out to me on DM. And I'm trying to get better about answering everything, but I love interacting with people. Sometimes it has been getting harder lately, but I'm getting on top of it. So yeah. That's
to piggyback off of that, guys, please leave us 5 stars because we just found out our last episode that ratings matter.
Wait, so I don't know how. I still don't know how it all works. What do you mean ratings matter?
Like when you get 5-star ratings, it gives you like a boost.
Oh yes. I thought you meant rating. I thought you meant like how many people listen, and I was like, how does?
Oh no.
Yeah.
No.
It gives you a boost. You get into like the
get on the charts and stuff like that. We didn't know anything about that until people like broke it down. Like, no, you had to actually like tell people to rate you 5 stars, rate both of us 5 stars. Listen to part 2. You know, Ryan, we're gonna go on Ryan's podcast. We're gonna have equally amount as a blast, and he's not gonna have us play Jeopardy, but you know, that's what you get for not listening to us.
Well, you know what? Maybe I will. So.
Oh my God.
Oh.
Well, thank you guys for listening, and thank you for being here, Ryan.
So
and we are going to upload this on Saturday. Saturday. Probably if it's Sunday, you know, we're on Colored People time like we were for this podcast. So we'll see you when you see you, and we love you. Thank you for listening.
Love you guys.
Bye. Dude, that was awesome.
Yeah, it was.